Hello and welcome to the session by rootfabric.com. In today's session we're going to talk about lists in Python. List is, it corresponds to arrays in other languages like C++, but it's the most common, one of the most commonly used grouping variables in Python. So by that I mean you have, let's say you had a variable, let's just, for example, let's say you had utensils equals fork, knife, spoon. It's a collection of things. So I have the variable utensils, and I want it to represent a list of different utensils, which are fork, knife, and spoon. So anytime I refer to this variable, I'm referring to the entire list. So there's other types of collections of things in Python, like sets or tuples, but the list variable is it's a collection that is ordered and it's changeable. So that means it's not just a grouping of things, it's an ordered grouping of things. So they each have a position. Fork is position 0, knife is position 1, spoon is position 2. And when you create a list, you want to use square brackets. And also what I mean by changeable is it means you later on in your code you can insert or remove objects from the collection if you want to, whereas in other collections that aren't changeable you're not allowed to do that. So so yeah, if I wanted to print this entire list, I could just print utensils. We run, and you see we have a list of fork, knife, and spoon. So those are all strings. You could have a list of numbers, so you can have 0, 5, 10, 15 to represent some multiples of 5, plus 0, not utensils. So numbers, print numbers, you run, you see 0, 5, 10, 15. So in lists, like I said before, they're ordered and everything has a position in the list. So just like in strings, the very first position is position 0, and then every position after that you increment by 1. So fork would be position 0, knife would be position 1, and spoon would be position 2. And then if you went on and on and on, it would just, everything would have a position. So if I wanted to print knife, I could do this: print utensils brackets 2, not knife, yeah, knife, brackets 1. So 1 refers to position 1, which is actually the second element in the list. So if I print this, utensils with subscript 1, then we should see knife. Whoops. So again, we see knife. So indexes, if you're starting from the beginning, the index is 0, but if you start from the end, which you're allowed to do in Python by using a negative number, it'll start from the end with -1. So this is position 0, this is position 2, and this is, this is position 0, this is position 1, and this is position 2. If you start from the end, this is also position -1, this is also position -2, and this is also position -3. So if I printed utensils brackets -3, I should see fork. So I run, and you see fork. So if you wanted a particular piece of the array, you can slice it by using the colon character. So if I wanted to print only the only knife and spoon, I can do this: print utensils 1:3. Yeah, so let's just do 1:2. 1:15. Oh, I forgot. Yeah. So you see knife. So this is let's see if 3 will, I don't know if 3 will work. Yeah, 3 works, okay. So if I print utensils 1:3, what that's going to do is it's going to print starting at position 1, going all the way to position 3 non-inclusive. So it includes position 1, it includes position 2, and then it doesn't include position 3. So we see knife and spoon, but we don't see fork because fork is position 0. But we start at position 1. So I wasn't quite sure if that would work in Python because I don't know if you need a position 3 to use 3, but it shouldn't matter. So if I made this 2, you should only see knife because it won't include position 2 because it's not inclusive, so we only see knife. If you wanted to print everything from position 1, let's add something else. Let's say large knife. And then I had 1, 2, 4. I run, and I see knife, spoon, large knife, but no fork. If I wanted to print these 3, because it runs to the end of the list, I could also just do this. Now I have a number in the second part of the slice, and I'll do everything from position 1 running to the end of the list. So you run again, you get the same thing. If you did 2 colon, you get spoon and large knife because it starts at position 2 and then runs to the end of the list. You can do it the other way, so you could do colon 3, but again this is non-inclusive, so it's not going to include position 3, which is large knife. So we run, see fork, knife, spoon, but no large knife. So yeah, colon is used for slicing, but when you give it 2 numbers, you have to remember that the second number doesn't include that position. Yeah, just like in loops, if you use the range function, you do range parentheses 5, it's going to be all the numbers 0 through 4, even though it's 5 numbers. So you can also change a slot because lists are changeable. So let's say we got rid of, whoops. Let's say we got rid of, hold on, give it a second. To refresh the page. Right. So let's get rid of large knife and then print utensils again. And comment this out. So print utensils, but then after we print that, I want to replace knife with large knife. So you could do you could set utensils 1 equal to large knife, and then we could print utensils again. So we run. So we print the initial list of utensils, and it's up here, fork, knife, spoon. Then we change position 1 to large knife and get rid of knife. And as you can see, we have a large knife instead of knife when we print again. So lists are changeable, so that means you can manipulate what's within the list using different functions or just by referring to the position in the array. Also, you can like loop through a list using the, just like you would loop through anything else with the for loop. So if you had for x in utensils, which is the variable that refers to our list, print x. So this x, it refers to the position in the utensils list. So it's going to loop through position 0, 1, 2, and so on. So we're gonna see fork, knife. Well, we have large knife in there now, but we're going to see fork, large knife, spoon printed out, 1 on each line. You can see fork, large knife, and spoon because prints out each element, but then you have the new line. So yeah, it appears vertically. You can also use like conditionals or to see if something's within a list. So if you have if fork is in utensils, oh, we don't need it like this. If fork is in utensils, print fork is in is in utensils. We run. Because fork is found in the list using the in keyword, we print this message. Fork is in utensils. But we replaced knife with large knife, so if I look for knife in utensils, we should not see this message. Which we don't. We don't see any message because knife isn't in utensils anymore. Yeah. So then just a couple other basic functions that can be used with lists. You have the length function, so let's say you want to see how many elements are in this list. There are 3. Even though we replaced knife with large knife, there's still 3. So if you do print length of utensils, we should see 3, which we do because there's 3 elements. You can add, if you want to add an element to the end of a list, you could do this. You could do append or utensils.append. Put knife back into the list, but it's going to stick it at the end. And we got to print again just to see it. And again, we see knife appended to the end of the list. You could also insert. So let's say we wanted to insert a second large knife into our utensils list. Utensils.insert. And we want it to be at position 3, which is the 4th element. Comma, large knife. And print utensils again. So we inserted a second large knife into position 3, but because we had something in position 3 already, it pushes that element over 1. So knife was pushed over to position 4, and then large knife is now at position 3, and then we have 5 elements starting from position 0 going all the way to position 4. Yeah, and then also if you wanted to remove something from the list, you could do utensils.remove spoon, and print utensils again. So we removed the spoon element from our list. So yeah, this was a basic introduction to lists and some of the methods that work with them. I hope this was informative. If you found any of this useful and you want to learn more about lists in Python, you can check out our courses at rootfabric.com. So thanks for watching. Bye.